This is going to be an interesting case, I think, a little bit of an anatomy lesson as well. So hopefully you guys will. All right, so this is a case that is basically still ongoing. I've seen this kid 3 times now, but the results that we got were pretty dramatic, so I think it's important to share it. The history is this was a 30-year-old G2P2. She had no history of thyroid, no infertility, no history of breast surgeries. She did have breast changes in pregnancy. She does plan to return to work in 3 months. She nursed her first one for 2 months, but she didn't really have any rhyme or reason for why it didn't really work other than she didn't really trust that it was working. But the baby liked to breastfeed, did really well breastfeeding. She just really had a hard time trusting that it was working. I think there was maybe a little bit of weight loss in the beginning. So then she pumped and gave some bottles and really just had a hard time trusting that baby was able to get enough at the breast once she started giving some bottles. So she didn't last very long, but she really wants to breastfeed longer with this one. So this baby was a normal spontaneous vaginal delivery at 39 and 4 weeks. There were no complications. I asked about this several times and you'll see why. The baby's birth weight was 7 pounds even, so 3175 grams. The baby was supposedly nursing well in the hospital, wouldn't latch without the nipple shield, mom said, but he was doing well according to her. She has appropriate anatomy, so I don't know why the baby wasn't able to latch without the nipple shield. But if you've heard me talk about it before, when we work in the hospital, our hands are really tied. We have very little resources and we have a very short timeline to work with to get the baby to do something before they're discharged. So a lot of times we go to a nipple shield in the hospital because that's all we have, either that or give the baby a bottle. So it's not uncommon for a lot of babies to go home using a nipple shield. So it's not a big complicator to me here. So at this first visit, the first time I saw him, he was 4 weeks old. His weight at this visit was 6 pounds, 9 ounces at 4 weeks old. Remember, he was 7 pounds at birth. So he is 6.3% down at 4 weeks. According to mother, he was breastfeeding every 2.5 hours during the day and 3 to 3.5 hours overnight. She reached out to me on a Friday after she saw the pediatrician and he kind of freaked out on her. I told her I could come on Saturday, but she couldn't make Saturday work. So I ended up seeing her on a Sunday. When she went to the pediatrician on Friday, they told her she needs to start supplementing the baby at 2 to 3 ounces after every feeding. But mom could only get baby to take 1 ounce at every feeding. She said he got really sleepy and she just could never get him to take more than 1 ounce. When I assessed the baby, he was very sleepy and I did an oral exam. His tongue was appropriate. He didn't have any visible ties, but his suck was extraordinarily weak. He could cup the finger, like he couldn't hold on to it to hold your finger in his mouth at all. So he kind of scared me. When I walked in the door, he looked like a 2 or 3 day old baby. And I really was shocked when she told me he was 4 weeks old. They said that they were using the Avent natural bottle. So it's this one. If you haven't had any experience with this, I recommend that you Google it. There are quite a few published reports of babies failing to thrive using these bottles. This bottle specifically, because this nipple is extremely slow. So for a newborn, you have to crank it up to a 2 or a 3 to get them so they can get any milk out. A few things working against this baby. The baby has an extremely weak suck, is using a terrible bottle, and is very low in weight. So I fed the baby in the visit. using the bottle that they had just to see if maybe it was a parent issue, because sometimes their parents aren't great at bottle feeding. So I did it. And one of the things that we used to say at work in the NICU is you can bottle feed a rock. Like it's pretty easy to get milk in a baby if you have the right tools. Well, I could not get the baby to take much milk, even using this, even having lots of experience. So, yeah, there's a major problem here. So let me back up and say, I recently started learning craniosacral therapy. I have been a gigantic skeptic of it. I did a training for it a few years ago and I left before the end of the week because I'm like, this is smoke and mirrors. I don't believe any of this. Just doesn't make any sense. It was way too woo-woo for me. Well, then when I interviewed Dr. Allison Hazelbaker on my podcast, and she and I talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but more off the recording, she encouraged me to give it another shot and, just learn it again from a different perspective. So I have been. There are 6 levels of the learning. I've done 2. I'm going to go next week for another one. I don't have enough language to really describe it to people, and I'm working on that because I need that, I think, for my own understanding and to help families understand. But there's a physiologic basis to it, but there's also a little bit of magic, I think. But anyway, so I did a little bit of craniosacral therapy on this baby because I'm like, there's some weakness happening. And I reiterated or questioned the mom again. Tell me, was there anything in the birth? Did it take a long time for him to come out? Like, did you have to push for a long time? Because sometimes if the baby's neck is a little bit crooked like that, those nerves in the neck can get pinched, and those nerves, when they get pinched, can cause those weaknesses. So we went through the birth again, and she's like, "Oh no, he came out pretty easy." So who knows? I mean, even in a vaginal birth, when the baby comes out, ideally they're facing the rectum, and then they turn, and they generally pull down on the baby's head to help get the shoulder out. So who knows? There's something happening here. So I did a little craniosacral therapy on the baby, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about that at the end of this presentation. But I also referred her to a chiropractor because I said there's some tension here somewhere, and I think body work is going to benefit the baby. Partly because I think I want another set of eyes on the baby, and partly because I don't fully trust my skills yet with craniosacral therapy. But either way, and then so here's the plan of care. Purchase different bottles. They had Dr. Brown's bottles. So I said, but they only had like size 4 nipples. So I said, you can use the Dr. Brown's if you get like a size 1 or 2 nipple, or you can try a size 3 or something with this nipple so that we can get a little bit more flow because we have to get more milk into this baby. So I saw her on a Sunday. She was going back to the pediatrician on Monday, about 24 hours after our visit. So I said, I really want you just to bottle feed only for the next 48 hours so we can make sure we're getting plenty of milk into this baby. I want you to pump to protect the supply. I referred her to the chiropractor for bodywork. So mom had already been seeing a chiropractor herself to help make sure the baby was in the right position for birth. So she already had a connection. She actually texted the chiropractor right there while I'm in the visit to make that appointment. And then I was going to follow up with her in 2 days. So she was going to see the ped on Monday, and I was going to see her on Tuesday. So any questions where we are right now before I move on to the second visit?
I have just like a quick one.
Yeah.
Was there no pediatrician visit at 2 weeks? Like, was there no indication
there
that
must
the birth
have
weight
been a pediatrician visit at 2 weeks, and they were like, oh, he's okay. He's getting close. But it didn't seem like the pediatrician got really worried until 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, because she seemed kind of shocked that all of a sudden. So yeah, I don't really have any other history on it other than this is where we are, and the pediatrician telling me to supplement. All right, Annie.
I'm sure any neurological thing would show up in other things as well, but he has been fully assessed for any underlying neurological impairment.
I don't know. I mean, when I said something to the mom about the weak suck, she was like, that's so crazy. I mean, I think that too, because he can't hold on to the bottle and he can't hold on to the pacifier. Why wouldn't the pediatrician pick up on that? So I really can't answer that. I don't know what the pediatrician actually picked up on at all.
Yeah, fair enough. And I was just curious that you went with bottle feeding and you didn't use the SNS. I know you hate the like the SNS is a real faff for mums. Um, just talk me through that. Help
Yeah,
me
I mean,
understand.
primarily because we need a baby that is active enough to suck and remove milk. So if the baby is really weak, even with the SNS, I mean, we're going to basically be pushing it the whole time.
Yeah, okay.
With the
Yeah.
bottle, like I said, I mean, I hate this phrase, but it's true. We can really get any milk into a baby with a bottle if there's some flow and a little bit of participation. We don't need a ton of participation from a baby, which is, I think, why a lot of time in the NICU nurses want to start with the bottle, because we don't require a whole lot of participation from the baby to get milk into them, which can be dangerous. And I don't want to, it would go down a whole rabbit hole here. But that I really just wanted to ensure, and also like make sure that we are focusing on volume. Like, what if mom, I don't, there's so many nuances with this SNS. Like mom might say, well, he didn't really take that much from the supplement, but maybe that's because he got a lot from me, but we don't have any measurement of that. At least I can say, if I tell you to give 2 ounces 8 times and you write it down, So that's why. I really didn't feel like it was going to affect breastfeeding. I felt like the primary concern right this minute is we got to get milk into this baby immediately.
Yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
Yeah, KDK.
Did he ever gain back to birth weight and then lose it again, or this is still just creeping back from what he lost before birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the other thing was, Rachel, the pediatrician said if the baby doesn't gain by Monday at the visit, I'm going to hospitalize him. So mom was like, I really don't want that to happen. So Annie, that probably is part of it too. I really just wanted to keep her out of the hospital. Okay. So I said either get a different nipple for this, which I hate these bottles. I wish that everybody would stop being swayed by them. I obviously, Dr. Brown's is not the best, but it's the lesser of these two evils, and it was what they already had. I didn't want them to have to go to the store and buy 10 different bottles. So that's what we did. So she went to the chiropractor Monday morning before she went to the pediatrician. The chiropractor agreed there was some tension up here in the neck, that the suck seemed very weak, and they were going to do some gentle stuff to release all that. So I saw the baby 2 days later. So after the chiropractor visit and the craniosacral from me, by Monday afternoon, mom said this was a different kid. He perked up. He started taking 3 to 4 ounces at every feeding from the bottle. And he gained 298 grams. This was 48 hours after I saw her last. And the pediatrician said, well, I don't like any kind of body work. That's just hocus pocus, but whatever. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working. Yeah. So at this visit, I said, all right, let's try to breastfeed now. The suck did feel stronger. It wasn't awesome, but it was improved for definitely. So we put the baby to the breast. He transferred 45 mLs, which was great. And I did a little bit more work on him. If I remember correctly, when he was laying there and I was doing the therapy, he was kind of like curled to one side, and then he just kind of like relaxed his body and lengthened up. So that's a good sign. But I did say to her, I want you to offer the breast at every feeding, do the breast compressions, and then continue to supplement as needed. So if he only nurses, for whatever time, time doesn't matter. But if he comes off the breast and he seems like he's not really content, or you're not hearing a lot of swallowing at the breast, then we definitely want to continue to supplement. I didn't document in here the diaper output. He definitely had low diaper output, which is what we would expect. So I also told the mom to look at diaper output and make sure that it was where it should be. And then I was going to follow up with her in 3 days. So I saw her, it ended up being like 5 days later, and this baby was up almost a pound. So he was 7 pounds at birth, and now he's 7 pounds, 15.9 ounces. She continues to do great, transferring. He transferred 30 mLs at the breast. He had eaten about an hour before I came, so he wasn't super hungry at this visit, but incredible, incredible progress. So I encourage the mom to continue doing what she's doing. And the goal is to get baby to take more at the breast and give less of the supplement. And she was really happy with that. So let's talk about why he might have a weak suck. So a weak suck in a newborn almost always points towards the cranial nerves involved in suck, swallow, breathe, coordination, tongue mobility, lip seal, and jaw strength. When one or more of these pathways is underdeveloped, injured, or impaired, feeding can be inefficient, slow, or ineffective, leading to early poor weight gain. So think about the cranial nerves. If you haven't taken the exam yet, you should be familiar with these. If you have, bring it back up. There are 6 cranial nerves that play a role in breastfeeding. One of them is the spinal accessory, which plays a role in the baby turning their head. So that I'm not really going to talk about that one, but let's talk about the nerves that I think were at play here. So one of them is the trigeminal. And I think this is one that was probably, and as all things in lactation, it's not black and white. Everything's sort of interconnected. So we can't just narrow it down and say it's one nerve that did this one thing. We just need to fix this one thing. So the trigeminal nerve, if you look here, this plays a big role in a lot of things. So jaw strength for suction and compression, innervation of muscles used for jaw opening and closing, somatosensory input of the face and oral cavity, which means if the baby can't perceive anything in his mouth, he can't close down and suck. This can lead to poor jaw tone, fatigue at the breast, and weak compressions. So this is one of the major contributors, I think. The next one is the facial nerve. So if you look here at this image, the facial nerve plays a big role in lip closure and seal around the nipple or areola. It also allows the baby to move their face and taste to the anterior portion of the tongue. So this can lead to poor flanging or inability to maintain the latch, milk leaking out the corners of the mouth, which the baby definitely had some of this, and inconsistent suction or difficulty sustaining that negative pressure. The next one is the glossopharyngeal nerve. So it's up here. This is where this one is. It plays a role in causing the tongue to go down so that the swallow can happen. And it also is sensation to the back of the tongue. So this is going to lead to inefficient or delayed swallow. So if you have a baby that's choking a lot with nursing, this nerve may be implicated. I don't think this one was playing a big role because I didn't see any of that. But again, they're all connected. The vagus nerve, I'm sure you've heard of this one. This one kind of is involved in everything. It's swallow coordination, laryngeal closure to protect the airway, esophageal peristalsis, but it goes all the way down. It plays a role in everything. So it was definitely probably implicated a little bit. And this is the other one that I think is probably probably highly implicated is the hypoglossal. So this is one that controls what the tongue does. So extending the tongue, elevating the tongue, lateralizing the tongue, creating the groove for the tongue and causing the tongue to drop down to create that negative pressure. So if the hypoglossal is implicated, if there's some kind of impingement happening, it's not going to function like it should, and the baby's going to end up having poor tongue cupping or elevation, a shallow latch, low suction, which is exactly what I saw. And unfortunately, this kid sort of fell through the cracks, or at least that's my impression, and this didn't get caught sooner. And we shouldn't have had a kid down that far at 4 weeks. So let's talk very high level about craniosacral therapy. So craniosacral therapy is light touch modality. So the way that it works is that our light touch can affect the fascia that covers everything in the body. And the nerves are all woven throughout the fascia. So our light touch can gently free up any impingements that are happening. And craniosacral therapy works really well with chiropractic. So they can do the hard structure adjustments, and we can do the the soft tissue facilitation. So this is essentially what it looks like. And again, I don't have great language for describing it at this point, but I am going to have this craniosacral therapist out of Canada on my podcast. I'm going to interview her tomorrow, actually. And she has a podcast called My Baby Craniosacral Therapy Podcast. It's great. She doesn't interview people on her podcast. She just talks about it. And it's such a good, I love the way she talks about it. So I encourage you guys to check it out, but I'm also going to have her on the podcast to talk about it, to help other professionals understand it a little bit better, because it's magic and it works and there's no harm in doing it. I mean, when I say light touch, it is 5 grams of pressure, which is like if you were to put a nickel on your hand, that's how much pressure it is. It's such light touch. And of course, at the beginning, when I started learning this, I'm like, how can that make any difference at all in the world? But if you think about like a surface of the water and like a dragonfly or something that comes and lands on the water, just that gentle touch causes ripples. And that's the same theory that we are working on with craniosacral. Our light touch causes ripples in that fascia, which can help to facilitate healing and freeing up those any nerves or anything that's pinched and causing dysfunction. So I can't wait to tell you guys more about it as I learn more, but I saw it work. It's magic. This kid was dramatically different in 24 hours after doing it. So yeah, what questions do you have?